Very good evening to all of you, dear brothers and sisters in Dhamma. Hope everything was fine today with you all. As Brother Leslie introduced the topic, Road to Arahantship. What do you feel when you hear this topic? Do you have such an ultimate goal of attainment of Arahantship? As a Buddhist, the first thing, if you don't have, you are not a Buddhist. If I am not having such an ultimate goal, I am also not a Buddhist. When we refer to the term Arahantship, some say Arahanthood. Arahant is a term in Pali, Buddha's language. So when we translate it into English, we use the term Arahantship. Some use Arahanthood, but in English we say the enlightenment. The enlightenment. The enlightenment is Arahanthood. The enlightened one is the Buddha. Arahant is a person who attained Arahanthood. We call him or her the purified one. The purified one. Those are the terms that associate with this meaning. This is the ultimate fruit of practices of 10 perfections in Buddhism. And also this is the final liberation of Buddhism. If you gain something best, not something better, but something best, after practicing the teachings of the Buddha, that should be Arahanthood, Arahantship. So, many people in this world, they are struggling, they are having troubles, issues, problems. If I say in another word, we are having physical and mental states that are not happy. That's why the Bodhisattva, before the attainment of Buddhahood as the Buddha, Prince Siddhartha, for many births in the samsaric life, tried to find out a way of liberating from these mental and physical sicknesses permanently. What he has found is Nibbana. Nibbana is another synonym for the term Arahantship. If you attain Nibbana, that is of course the attainment of Arahantship. On the other hand, the term Arahantship denotes the end of your birth and death. The end of birth and death. Once a deity questioned the Buddha, saying that in this human life, we got birth, we got death. Between the birth and death, we are suffering a lot due to the conditions of physical and mental sicknesses, so we are suffering a lot. How to enjoy the life how to satisfy the life. So we have to do immediately the meritorious deeds and go to the heaven to be reborn there as a divine being to enjoy the life. Then what was the reply of the Buddha? If you try to be reborn in heaven to enjoy the life, that is also craving. That is also craving. You attach to someone. Something is attached to your mind. Your mind is bound to have something. That is not ending up, but jumping up into somewhere. Therefore, the Buddha, for this deity, he said, if someone wants to liberate from this reoccurrence of the birth and death and the suffering between the birth and death, he should attain the Nibbana. That means he should be an Arahant. Either he or she, whatever you may choose, your position, you have to be an Arahant. That's why we are very happy to talk about Arahantship, the way of liberating from these all sufferings in this life. That's a journey. That's a journey. Within a short period of time in the sansaric life, we have to complete all the requirements and to attain the Nibbana in order to enjoy the ultimate happiness. That's why we are talking about road to Arahantship. You know what is the road? The path, track. So let's discuss something very interesting to all in accordance with the teachings of the Buddha. So the term Uposatha, have you heard earlier the term Uposatha? So the term Uposatha, how do you understand the meaning? Some say a fast day. That is, of course, from Oxford Dictionary. not from the Buddhism. So a day of purification, that is indeed from Buddhism. Lay followers of the Buddha, they undertake to observe 8 precepts or 8 abstinence on the days. They are called the Uposatha day or Phoya day. In English we say full moon day, moon days. Normally after the observance of 8 precepts, we are expected to listen to the Dhamma talks, to engage in Dhamma discussions, to engage in prayers, chanting, recitations. Maybe practical and cultural activities are assigned to practice and we continue. Is it? So, the Buddha taught us that the Uposatha day is for cleansing or cleaning or to purify the mind which is full of defilements. What are the defilements? Can you say something? 5 hindrances are some of the defilements. Hindrances means the disturbance or obstacles, barriers. They prevent us. So, defilements are barriers, obstacles that disturb our happiness in the mind or inner calm, they will cause us to lose the joy and enjoyment or happiness. The day for Uposatha. Uposatha means a noun from the verb in Pali upavasati. Upavasati. Uposatang upavasati iti uposato. If I say the Pali words, don't worry, I'll tell the meaning of in English. So, uposatang upavasati iti uposato means if someone observe the observances on a day, that day is called the day of Uposatha. That's the meaning. So, as the Buddhist, we observe 8 precepts, some more. In some temples, devotees observe 9 precepts, but the famous one is 8 precepts. Beyond that, some people go for the observances of 10 precepts. Then novice monks and nuns, they observe the 10 precepts for monks and nuns. The monks like us, after the period of novice monks, we have observed the higher precepts, so we are fully ordained monks, attainment of the state of Upasampada, becoming a fully ordained monk, that is also an observance. In addition to that, you observe the 5 precepts daily. Those are the ways or the types of observances that we practice as Buddhists. When do we practice these? Can you say, what is the date? On the Uposatha day. On the Uposatha day. Every day if someone can practice, that is the best. So, these observances are to clean the mind the day. We have 4 full moon days for a month. I think according to Chinese calendar also you got full moon and 9 new moons. So, I am teaching about the days of observances of full moon or new moon according to the Buddhism. How to count an Uposatha day? You see the picture. Number 1 is half is lighted. So another half of the moon is blackened. So the second picture, that is full of light. Third picture, again half is black, half is in yellow color, lighted. Fourth one is totally black. Can you observe the lunar phases of the moon phases in this way? Come to the fourth one. The fourth one, if you guess, today is the new moon day. The moon is black today night. But from the tomorrow up to the 8th day, from tomorrow, when we count in 8 days, the 8th day would be like the first picture. The sun, appearance of the sun would be like that. From your left hand side, the half of the moon is in yellow color, then the other part of the sun is black. That would happen on the 8th day after the new moon day. That is called Pura Atavaka. Pura means filling. Atavaka means the 8th. When it is the 8th day, half of the sun is filled with yellow color. Then again, from the first picture to the second one, full moon day, totally the entire moon is in yellow color. That is yellowish. So that would happen from this first picture to second phase in 7 days. From here to the second picture, now we have taken 15 days. So this is called Pura Pasaloswaka. Pura means totally filled. Pasaloswaka means in 15 days. Pura Pasaloswaka, that is called full moon day. Then again after the day, from the full moon day, we come to the third phase. The half of the yellow color disappeared from your left hand side. Then what happened? The color disappears. It has begun to disappear. That is called Ava Atavaka, because it happens after the 8th day, on the 8th day. So Ava means disappears, disappearance. So the color goes away. Then left hand side of the moon is black, right hand side is yellowish. After that, from the following day, in 7 days again, the 7th day is already the sun. The moon is black, no color. That is called new moon or Amavaka. Amavaka means black in Pali. The meaning. This is how it happens, the count in the day of full moon day, new moon day. This is called Puratavaka. This is called, second one is called full moon. Third one is also we introduce as the new moon. Black moon also we introduce as the new moon. So altogether, to fill or to be complete this circle, it will take 30 days. That is called the month of moon, Chandra Masa in Buddhism. This is how we count the full moon days of in Buddhism. If you want to calculate, you can do practices after that. Before the birth of the Buddha in India, there was a practice of all the religions, Indian religions especially. Those religious leaders encourage their followers to observe precepts on these 4 days, 4 times for a month. 4 times for a month. They would observe different types of, even today they continue in India. They will observe different types of precepts, observances in accordance with their own doctrine, according to their religion. According to their religion. That depends on the nature of the religion. I see some people on full moon day, even though they are non-vegetarian, they try to be vegetarian. That is also a certain type of observance. Rather than becoming a vegetarian on full moon day, better to be a actually speaker of truths, at least only for one day. That is also part of observance. Then, types of uposatha. Uposatha means what you observe, what you practice. In Sri Lanka, before offering the alms giving to the monks at homes, some people, they observe 5 precepts and they practice not to take any meat or any other parts of practice non-vegetarianism. And also some try to, from the beginning of having the harvest also, they separate the first portion for the annual dana ceremony. Those are also some practices. They don't eat anything first without giving to the triple gems. Such practices are there. But according to this discourse, there are 3 types of uposatha. The Buddha says, Thayo ko me visake uposatha khatame tayo gopalaku posato nigantu posato ariyu posato. Can you read? Thayo ko me visake uposata katame tayo gopalaku posato nigantu posato ariyu posato. Thayo ko me visake. There are 3 types of observances or sabhat. Sabhat. Sabhat means observance in English. There is a familiar term for you, I think, Visake. Who is Visakha? Who is Visakha? The foremost lady of Buddhism, from the lay disciples. Buddha addresses to the Visakha, the Upasika. Upasika means what? Lay devotee or preceptor. Upasika means preceptor. Recently, Sister Bodhi passed away, we call her preceptor. In Buddha's language, she is a Upasika. So, Visake. Visakha is the foremost lady of the female preceptors in Buddhism. Female contributors. Lay female contributors of Buddhism. So, Visake, what can you understand from this term? A discussion has happened between the Buddha and Visakha. So, Buddha says, Visakha, there are 3 types of observances or sabhats. What are they? What are those 3? The sabhat of the cowherds, and the sabhat of Jainas, and the sabhat of noble ones. These are the 3. When we come to this, what is the important one? So, the sabhat of cowherds. Who is cowherd? There is a picture there. There are some human beings behind the cows to look after them. They are called cowherds, the guardians of the cows. Remember, there are 2 people, guardians of the cows. They are different from the owners of the cows. So even though there is a gatekeeper or security forces in front of your company or business place or temple or house, or are they owners? of the house? No, what do they practice? They are practicing to protect the places. Kathancha visake gopalako posato hoti. Just like a cow herd, the person will take the cows in the afternoon, in the morning, and also in the evening, and go to the places where the food can be found for them, where the water can be found for them, where the places they can rest. And the person will feed all those animals in the evening. Again, he will return these animals to the owner. After the returning, he will go and think, today I took these cows to these places and there are no more food, no more water. To which place do I take these animals tomorrow? They think. How can I feed these animals tomorrow? That is the mental conditions of these guardians. And they will think of a place reflecting the geographical situations. Reflecting on geographical situations, they'll try to find a place that he can feed these animals. That is their behavior. According to the Buddha, there are some people in this world who observe precepts because of a tradition or culture practiced by their previous generations. They don't know actual meaning of the precepts. They don't want to study. If I question some people, if you observe the 8 precepts, please tell me the meaning of this precept. They cannot explain. They don't know what is the purpose of this observance. Because they observe their mother, parents, grandparents, they practiced, they took them to the temple and they have observed. Because of their practices from the previous generations, they want to pass this practice to the next generations. That's why they do. They are just like a guardian of cows, cow herd. So don't know the meaning. But on the full moon days, new moon days, they come to the temple, they observe precepts, and they don't know the real meaning, actual meaning of the practice. Just they want to teach to their children to continue and pass to their grand generation, and third generation. Is there someone among us who practices like that? Many people. So, how can we purify our mind? Can we attain arahanthood because of that practice? No, they are called labeled Buddhist. Sorry to say that. But that is the real term that we have to use. In that sense, people observe Sabbath, practice observances. That is not useful. That's not beneficial. That's not fruitful. That's totally waste of time. Come to the next, Sabbath of Jainas. Look at the meaning. Atti visake niganta nama Samanaja, Samana Jatika. Atti Visake Niganta Nama Samana Jatika means Visaka, there is a type of ascetics called Niganta. Types of ascetics called Niganta. Niganta means what? Lack of dresses. We say nude. There are such religious practices even today in India. If you go to India, you can observe the temples of Jainas. They are called Jainas. There are two types. Some wear white clothes, some are lack of dresses, they are nude. So what do they practice? On one of the Uposatha day that I explained early, they come to the temple and they motivate their followers saying that, please good people, don't hurt any living creatures. More than 100 miles away to the east and 100 miles away to the west, something like that, from 4 directions. Do you think, is there any beings beyond that limit? Yes or no? Can have. Then, when we practice as Buddhism loving kindness, may all the beings in the world be well and happy. May all the beings be free from suffering. We refer to all the beings in the world, but they refer to a limited number of beings in the world. So, that's their practice. They repeat, they follow, they encourage their devotees, followers to observe that and practice. Their kindness, their compassion, is it correct? Are they meaningful? No. Just if you think, I do love all the people in this hall only, then what happened to the people out of this hall? They would be innocent. They are not becoming a part of your compassion, loving kindness. Just like the families of famous politicians in many countries. This is how they do. And they have another practice. Te tadahu posato savakam evan samadapenti. On the other hand, in their practices, observances, they motivate or encourage their disciples again, please good people, take off all your clothes away. And say, I don't belong to anyone or anyone anywhere. Repeat this. I don't belong to anyone anywhere and nothing belongs to me anywhere. Could you say? In case of your life, don't you have anything anywhere? Don't you have anyone anywhere? Think of your life. How we can say like that? Refer to your life. Think of your life. Even though you come to the temple to observe 5 precepts or 8 precepts or whatever on the 4 day, definitely 8 precepts. We practice here also. And we practice novitiate programs also. We have novitiate programs also to observe 8 precepts. There, what do you think? When you observe 8 precepts, don't your parents bring dana for you? Don't your children bring dana for you? At least do they have a visit to the temple to see you? Then how we can say, I don't belong to anyone anywhere, I don't have anything anywhere? Buddha doesn't practice something like that. So, when they repeat these precepts, if the parents are there of these followers, they know, this is my child. And also, they also know, I have my parents, both mother and father. If there are wife and children, they know this is my father. And they also know this is my wife and children. This is my husband and children. In that way they know. Then that means there is someone in anywhere for them. There are something for them anywhere. They cannot repeat, I don't belong to anyone anywhere and nothing belongs to me anywhere. So they cannot say, remove the clothes. Saying that at least they don't have any clothes. How empty, you see how empty this practice is. Thirdly, that is full of lies, telling lies. So the Jainas motivate their followers to tell lies to the people. After the Uposatha day, having practiced like that, they come out from the temple, again they go to their families. They feed their family. They look after their properties. So, can their practices continue? Cannot. Therefore, Nigantu posato na mahappala hoti na mahanisamso na mahaju tiko na mahavippaharo. That is, na mahappala, not very fruitful. They are telling lies. Mahanisamso, they are not beneficial. They are not mahajutiko, not splendid, or mahavippaharo, bountiful. Useless, one term. There are people who practice like that. They come to the temple, they repeat the 8 precepts after the monks, and just keep their bodily positions calmly and listen to the monks' talks and Dhamma discussions. After that, they drop everything at the door of the temple. So they cheat themselves. They don't continue. How we can clean their mind? Can you clean your mind? No, definitely we are practicing something wrong. So there are people who observe like Jainas. That is also not fruitful. Now you know 2 types of observances and observers according to Buddhism, revealed by the Buddha. Now we have the Sabbath of Noble Ones. When you look at the title, when you read, what is your understanding about the topic? Noble ones means the purified ones. Another term for Arahants. Can I ask a question? If you want to take driving license, what should you do first? Driving schools. You have to be a student of driving schools. If you need to take the driving license, directly you cannot go to the government office and pay money, I need the license. If the government issues such types of license, what happened to the people on the road? What happened to you? What happened to you? So definitely you will die, people will die. So if you need to be a driver, so you need to get a proper training. Proper training, becoming an Arahant also like that. If you need to be an Arahant, first you have to behave as an Arahant. Temporarily. Temporarily, not permanently. Because you are getting training to drive the vehicle, in the same manner, you are getting training to become an Arahant. So you have to act as a driver, you have to act as an Arahant. That is the road. Sabbath of the Noble Ones illustrates how we can have this training to become a purified one after eradicating the defilements. That training. Some people think, many people, they want to practice Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path directly. They need to understand dependent originations directly. But they skip the basic steps. But they want to practice the bigger concepts. Remember, these basic steps are the links that make a bridge for those big practices. Therefore, without practicing these things, we cannot directly practice the insight meditation or those things. Noble Eightfold Path is a practice, but the dependent origination is something that should be understood, not a practice. Understood. Four Noble Truths, they are to be understood. The way is practice of Noble Eightfold Paths. To that also, this would be a leading track. Sabbath of the Noble Ones. Katancha Visake Ariyu Posato Hoti. The term for Sabbath of the Noble Ones or the observances of Noble Ones is Ariyu Posata. Upasata means, of course, the observance. Arya means noble. In Buddhism, Arya Puggala, noble ones. Arya Magga, noble path. This is also a path, noble path. Attarya Puggala. Atta means 8, Agga Puggala, Arya Puggala means noble ones. 8 types of noble ones. So, Upakkilis Tassa Visake Chittassa Upakkamena Pariyoda Pana Hoti Katancha Visake Upakkilittassa Chittassa Upakkamena Pariyoda Pana Hoti. Ida Visake. The meaning is, if your mind is corrupted, the corrupt mind should be cleansed. by applying the efforts. By applying the efforts. By applying the technology and efforts, when you learn how to drive a vehicle, you get training in the same manner. When you apply the efforts, in order to clean the mind, corrupted mind, you can clean your mind. That's the way of Noble One's observances. So how we can clean a corrupted mind, a corrupt mind, a bad mind, impure mind by applying efforts? Before that, we need to know the types of observances to clean the mind. Types of observances to clean the mind by applying efforts. Applications of efforts, practices of efforts can have the techniques. The techniques are taught according to these 6 types of observances. Brahmo posata. Brahmo uposata. Brahma. Who is Brahma? At my last talk also I told. That's a synonym for a Buddha. Then Dhammoposata, Sangoposata, Siloposata, Devatuposata, Aryoposata. Brahmoposata means reflect on the Buddha. Reflecting on the Buddha. If not, reflecting on the qualities of the Buddha. Then Dhammoposata, reflecting on the Dhamma. Sangoposata means now you should have the ability to tell, repeat. Sangha means who? Monks. Then reflecting on qualities of the monks. Then Siloposata, Sila means observances, another term for precepts. Reflecting on the precepts. Devataposatam, you respect deities? Do you respect deities? Do you love deities? Do you trust the deities? Why are you afraid of deities? Because of their comfortable conditions or because of their power? Definitely because of their power, you are afraid of that they will punish you. And also you think they are so powerful, they are having so many comfortable conditions in their heavenly life. Have you thought any day that you also can gain such types of comfortable conditions having becoming a deity? Having become a deity, you also can have those comfortable conditions. We'll talk about that also. Then Aryoposata, observance just like a purified ones. Then reflect on the purified ones, reflect on the deities, reflect on the virtual conducts or ethical conducts, Siloposata. In that way, there are 6 types of ways or techniques that we can clean our mind, that make a road to the Arahanthood. First one is Brahmoposatam, reflection on the Buddha. What's the view of the Buddha? Ida Visake Aryasavaka. Who is Aryasavaka? The follower of the Buddha, noble followers. When the Jaina's doctrine is accepted and practiced, we say the follower of the Nigantas, Jainas. When you observe the noble one's practices, you have been defined as noble follower. So if you practice precepts, you are entitled to be a noble person. Use this term Arya Savaka. So Arya Savaka Tathagatang Anussarati. When when a noble disciple recollects the realized one is missing there, the realized one, the enlightened one, the Buddha. How we can realize him? How we can understand the Buddha? Always, at all the time, if we can repeat the famous one, you can read, Itipiso Bhagava Arahant Samma Sambuddho Vijjacharana Sampanno Sugato Loka Vidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Satta Deva Manussanam Buddho Bhagavati. If you think the Blessed One is perfected, he is a fully awakened Buddha, he is accomplished in knowledge and conduct, he is the holy, he is the knower of the world, he is the supreme guide for those who wish to attain Nibbana, and teacher of the gods and men, and also awakened, and he is the Blessed One. We repeat the 9 virtues. Not only that, in Malaysia, separately after repeating these verses, we again say, Arahang arahoti namene, araham papan nivare. What is this? We are reciting the 9 virtues separately, their qualities. If you can think in that way, at all the time in your life, what happened? You are repeating Buddha's qualities, then the Buddha will reside in your mind. You will see the Buddha. Some say after coming here, having met us, Bhante, we got bad spirits, evil spirits at homes. Why? They are thinking of always bad things. So, their behaviors, mental states are unethical, evil conducts, always thinking of something bad, something evil. And what happened to that? That is sometimes misunderstanding, and also that is because of cultivation of maybe anger, jealousy, or attachment, craving. Something disturb mind. Something disturb mind. Then, if we repeat the Buddha's qualities, what happened? Our mind doesn't let those evil attitudes to arise in their mind and reside. Always you are thinking of the Holy One, the perfected one. Then you would practice that even at sleeping, even in getting up early in the morning, and also even you are cooking, eating. And when you are alone, you can think. Then what happened? Your mind would be purified and mind would be getting best results, positive results. A positive energy will motivate your mind. You will rejuvenate yourself in order to have a fresh mind with the blessing of the Buddha. When you train how to practice, how to think, when you think, thinking would gradually create the steps to spend the time with the repeating and remembering the qualities of the Buddha at all the time. Then what happened is you would be pure mentally. Your mind would be happy, your mind would be clean, because other evil thoughts cannot arise, because you think of the Buddha only. Then chittam pasidati, you would be happy. Pamojjam upajjati, you will attain enjoyment. Ye chittasya upakilesathe pahiyanti, the evil states, evil thoughts in the mind, they will disappear. And your mental corruptions, then they are given up. Then you clean the mind, dirty mind. What happened? You will become pure. The Buddha is giving a simile for that. You know, when you go to have a bath, what happened? First, you will wash your head with a good, what we call shampoo or whatever, washing powder, whatever you use, maybe a paste, you will use, and you will clean your mind with pure water. After washing, you will feel refreshed. You will feel refreshed. That's the way. When you think of the qualities of the Buddha, you will refresh yourself. You will rejuvenate yourself just like that. Then you are learning, getting training to become an Arahant. A noble disciple who observes the Sabbath of Brahma, who remember the qualities of the Buddha, who repeat the qualities of the Buddha, and they will live together with the Buddha. Always you picture, there are images of the Buddha you will see. Wherever you look at, you will see the Buddha. You imagine the Buddha. And because of that, your mind become clear. The joy will arise, and mental corruptions are given up. That is, because of your repeat in the Buddha's qualities, mental corruptions are given up. Actively, they don't go away, you give up them. They are given up you. That is up to you. Evam ko visake upakkilittasya chittasya upakkamena pariyodapana hoti. That's how a corrupt mind is cleaned, by applying efforts. What is the application of effort? Thinking of the Buddha, reflecting on the qualities of the Buddha, the 9 virtues. If someone thinks like that, for that person, after the breakup of the body, that means after the death, definitely no need to practice. When he was living, she was living, any practices, if cultivates these things, after the death, definitely the person would be reborn in a good state. That is the first step, road to the Arahantship, because we should not be reborn in a hell, lower state, if we need to attain the Nibbana. Then Dhammo Posata, you repeat about the Dhammo also like that. Qualities of the Dhamma, thinking that Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sandhittiko Akaliko Ehipassiko Opanaiko Pachattam Veditabbo Vinyuhiti. You reflect on the qualities of the Dhamma. When you reflect, practice these things, the same thing happens. The joy will arise, your mind will be clean, and the corruptions are given up by you. Because of the repeat in the qualities of the Dhamma, at the end, your mind would be full of joy, happy, success. How? You take a full shower with a good type of shampoo and clean the body, proper shower. How do you feel? How do you refresh yourself? How do you rejuvenate yourself? Having a shower, having a bath, in the same manner, just like you will have a full shower, in the same manner you will clean your mind totally. You will feel in that way. That's the Buddha's example. When you come to reflect on the members of venerables, that means the Sangha, Arahants, Sangha, you think about the qualities, saying that Supati Panno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho. You don't want to me repeat the verse because as you know that, I know you all are aware of that, you no need to repeat. Think of the good qualities. There are also the 9 qualities are included. You think of those qualities always. Then you will remember the best qualities, spiritual qualities, noble qualities of the Sangha community. When you think of that, anger, hatred, delusions, craving, or whatever evil thoughts do not come to your mind, they don't enter your mind, you will think of these things. Then by applications of this way, your mind would be cleaned, your mind would be free from suffering, and mental corruptions are given up by you. So after having a good bath, you may wash your clothes as well with good washing powder. Then how do you feel? The same feelings. Just like that, you would feel happy after practice of this. After practice of this, you would feel the same thing. Because reflecting on the Sangha doesn't allow you to raise any evil thoughts. Always you are remember the members of the Sangha, pictures of the Sangha. Mentally you see, you imagine when you repeat these qualities. Sangha, for example, you think your daughter or son or whoever have gone to foreign countries or stay away from you, always you remember their qualities. If my son was here, at this time he will do like that, daughter will do like that, and you imagine what they do, you observe, you just think their behaviors and tell. Your mind is drawing their picture. In the same manner, when you repeat the qualities of the Sangha also, you will draw the pictures of the Sangha. They are full of these qualities. Then the mental corruptions such as anger, hatred, fear, everything would disappear. You would be clean, you would be happy, the joy will arise, and also your mental corruptions are given up. You are not allowed, do not allow to your mind to think negatively. That is also another way of attainment of Arahanthood, because that doesn't allow you to be reborn in a negative place. Could you understand? Then we come to Siloposatham. Sila means precepts, How do you reflect on your virtuous practices, ethical practices? Normally, culturally, we have some ethical practices. Religiously, we have some ethical practices. But think of the ethical practices in accordance with the Dhamma. If you are a noble person, if you are a noble disciple, you may recollect your own ethical conducts. I practice not to tell lies. I never told a lie. I have never broken that. That is not impeccable. Strongly you depend on the precepts. You protect the precept. You depend on the precepts. You have a strong ethical conducts, moral behaviors, maybe by way of speaking, by way of physical behaviors, by way of mind. You may have precepts. For example, you may have observed 5 precepts. Every night after going to the bed, you may reflect on 5 precepts. Did I break any precept today? Did I break any precept today? Have I broken a precept for this week? Since last month, I have never broken this precept. You would observe, you would think of your precepts. You will recollect whether you have broken or not. Thinking about the virtual practices, ethical practices. Maybe did I cheat my wife, cheat my husband, cheat my children? Did I tell lies to my parents or followers? We reflect from those practices. Did I break any precept of my observances? In that way you think, maybe in the bed, maybe while sitting, while walking, you may think of that. Then you would understand, because of my dirty mind, I have broken this. Then you apply efforts. You may utilize your efforts not to break it again and continue not to break. Again, when you reflect on your precepts, you would think, I have not broken this precept since last month, last year. With the time you can recollect and can be happy because of your practices. Go to the mirror. You would see your face. If there is something that cause your loss of your beauty, anything you will see, then what do? You may be using Fair and Lovely or whatever cream, try to remove all those bad marks, black marks, pimples, anything. You are looking at your own face. That is how we reflect on our own observances and virtual practices. That's a good way. When you do practices like that, brothers and sisters in Dhamma, gradually you become talented in observing the precepts and protecting them. So then you may motivate yourself in order to observe precept, protect the precepts and depend on the precepts. When you think in that way, these senses would lead your mental states in order not to think any types of evil thoughts, attitudes. You prohibit. Your mind is prohibited to not to think. You have avoided the way of thinking or practicing or cultivations of defilements. That would be another way of attainment of Arahanthood, a path to the Arahanthood or enlightenment. Then Devatu Posatam. This is also interesting. Reflection on the deities. Can I ask a question? Are you afraid in case of the Buddha? When you think of the Buddha? Afraid. When you look at the Buddha, if you meet the Buddha, do you feel afraid? You would feel happy. Peaceful, yes, of course. If you feel that a devil or bad spirit come to me and appear, how do you feel? When if you have a chance to meet a deity, are you afraid of them? Very happy. Why? Bless. You think the gods will bless. Your feeling is blessed. Yeah, I know. So, deities or gods, some followers try to introduce them as powerful people, individuals. Yes, they are powerful beings because of their ethical behaviors, not immoral behaviors. Therefore, if someone says they are very, if they are getting angry and they will punish the people who is not good, who is good, they will treat the people, good people, they will not treat bad people. Of course, if you are an individual, if you practice immoral practices, they don't come to punish, but they will leave you. They don't want you. If you practice ethical conducts, they will love you, according to the Buddha. So deities have become the deities because of their practices as human beings. Remember, previously they are human beings because of their practices, moral conducts, ethical conducts by way of speaking, bodily actions and mental states. They have done something good. Because of their ethical conducts, they have become the deities after the death. Now can you think, you also have a chance to become a god, deity. No need to go after the deities, seeking the blessing, seeking the shelter, begging the shelter, praying for them. Instead, whatever you conduct as moral conducts or ethical conducts, meritorious deeds, wholesome deeds, at the end you can transfer the merits to them, then they will be happy and bless you. That's the way. So, they are powerful. They have lots of comfortable conditions. Their ages of the lifespan, longer than human beings. I'll come to that point as well at the end of the talk. They enjoy long life than the humans. Normally, according to Buddhism, there are 6 heavens. The other worlds beyond that we call the Brahma worlds. The lowest heaven in human world, 50 years, for them 1 day and night. 50 years, 50 years in human world for the lowest heaven, 1 day and night. Such 30 days make a month. Such months, 12 months make a year. That's the way. So they have comfortable conditions. Having thought of their comfortable conditions, if you want to receive such happiness, enjoyment, or success, if you behave ethically, definitely you would gain those things. Therefore, having thought of their comfortable conditions, and people think what they have done to achieve these achievements, accomplishments and success with happiness, some people observe precepts and protect with the intention of receiving heavenly life and their comfortable conditions. Is it good? In a sense, that's good, because you don't try to reborn in a lowest place. You try to go to high level. When you think of that and when you practice the observances with that purpose, definitely your mind would be happy, clean, the joy arises, and also you may give up the corruptions of mental states. Mental corruptions are given up. By applying that thought, that practice, you can cultivate your mind. That is also a way of cleaning mind, a path to Arahanthood. Such deities, when they passed away from their heavenly life, again they will be reborn as deities, because in their heavenly life also they think, how did we receive these heavenly comfortable things, happiness? Then they will observe, they will imagine, they will see what they have done as meritorious deeds in the human life. Even in heavenly life, they practice those ethical conducts and again reborn as human, not divine beings. If you have such type of intention, you can think of their faiths, ethics, what they have practiced, and their learning and generosity in the human life and wisdom. Because remember, after the death of you, in the future, the times that come to us, totally the society would be more corrupted. More corrupted. You will feel uncomfortable to pass the time when you are reborn in the human society after the death. Then, rather than having a rebirth in a such situation, better to reborn as a deity and pass the time, because here 50 years they are 1 day, and 100 years 1 day the above one. Then you will pass the time as a divine being. Then the next Buddha was born to this world. You may make a wish to reborn as a human being and meet the Buddha, listen to the talks from the living Buddha, and attain the Nibbana. That's also another way. Then the last one, Ariyuposata, reflection on the purified one. This is the point where we should get the driving license. So, a noble disciple, a noble follower of the Dhamma, they would think of the Arahants who attained the enlightenment. So, when you drive the vehicle, you are a driver and you have some ethics, behaviors as a driver. You need to understand how to put the brakes, how to drive the vehicle, what we call how fast you drive. When there are other vehicles, how to tackle them without damaging, without having injuries, accidents. You would learn lots of things as a driver. So attention is given to the process of driving. That is normal if you are a driver. That's normal if you are a driver. If you are a doctor, the practices of the doctor also the same. In case of becoming an Arahant, you need to have a proper training. To that, what should we do? We have to behave as an Arahant at least for a temporary period. Every day we cannot. That's why on the full moon days, 4 days, the Buddha has recommended in order to observe the 8 precepts. How do you introduce 8 precepts? Noble 8 precepts or just 8 precepts? What's the Pali term? Arya Ashtangika Sila. Noble eightfold observance. So did you know so far up to now that these 8 precepts are daily behaviors of Arahants? They are daily behaviors of the Arahants. They practice not to kill any living creature. That's a practice of Arahants. Yava Jivan, until the death, until the last of the life, they practice not to kill any living creature. You temporarily observe for a day, I'll not kill any living creature on this day. So you practice like an Arahant. Whatever they have until the death, just we observe for 4 days. Then Adinnadana. Adinnadana means not to steal. Kame sumichachara, not to practice sexual misconduct. Normally monks are prohibited to have sexual conducts. Lay people are given the permissions based on the marriage. Husband and wife can, but apart from that, that connection, that relationship also you stop on this day. At least for days, for a month, to practice that ability, develop that ability not to have sexual conducts. Arahants, they never practice that. Monks are not given to practice that. Never. Never ever. They are not allowed. So, Having observed that, we practice not to have sexual relations at least for a day, at least for twice, at least for 4 times, legally. Then we come to Musavada, Musavada, that is not to tell lies. Arahants never tells. They never tell lies in the same manner, at least for 1 day or for 4 days. We concern of our wordings, whether we are speaking truth or reality or lies. Then taking alcohol and intoxications, we think of that also and we stop that. There are some people who daily use these things. A nice experience when I met some friends, not good to tell, but how to tell. They tried to offer, they wanted to offer dana for me, so they invited. I was brought there by them. The guy who went there, after checking the menu, he says, "Okay, I'll take a beer." And Bhante, do you need a beer? Then his wife say something secretly to his ear. "Oh, okay, sorry. I'll take my own beer only." So, while offering the dana also they practice taking alcohols and intoxicate. Then what happened? They try to offer to us also. Maybe lack of understanding. But there are some people who daily practice, having known that is not good. But Arahants, never ever they use any type of alcohol. Then the eating, as long as they live, Arahants, the perfected ones, the enlightened ones, the noble ones, they eat in the morning or during the lunchtime 1 part of the day only, 1 meal only. They abstain from eating at night any food or at the wrong time, because that will cause physical diseases and sickness. That will disturb you to cultivate your mind because of physical weaknesses. Arahants do not practice that. If you can observe this, if you can stop your dinner, how do you feel? You cannot stay. At least you have something very small, at least a biscuit or cup of tea. You try to cheat your stomach. In that way, we are doing, but Arahants never. On the full moon day, we observe the 8 precepts. When it is the evening, again we remove the observance and go and take the dinner. Is it useful? No. If you observe the precepts on that day, that night, you have to abstain from that practice, then your observance would be beneficial for you. Beneficial for you. Then, as long as the Arahants live, the perfected ones, they avoid dancing. Have you seen any monks? They are dancing. Now in YouTube, in some social media, we can see some people have recorded. That is because of lack of guidance and misunderstanding and what means the suitable persons are not given the ordination. That's the reason. There are suitable people. Singing, music, scene, shows, and beautifying and adorning themselves with gardens, fragrance, and makeup. Some ladies come to the temple to observe precepts, having done the makeups as well in Sri Lanka. Here I don't know. So if you can avoid these practices, that means at least for a day with a purpose, with that purpose, that means you train yourself to become an Arahant. Because that is a practice of Arahant. And also, if you practice the perfected one's practice, whatever, they give up high and luxurious beds. They sleep in low place, either a cot or any other mat, because they want to reduce their conceit pride. Even today also I have some experiences. If someone comes, if we do not provide a good bed, at the end they'll criticize the place, people. I am educated, I am such a big person, they treated me like this, not suitable, I don't go there, something like that, they will criticize. How they can attain the Nibbana? Because they cultivate something bad mentally, anger, hatred, delusion, craving. They have an attachment, but if you offer, that means you have no attachment, you want anyone to utilize these things. If they are not expecting those things, never mind, you can offer. But if they are expecting, try to understand the level of mentality. At least for a day, if we can avoid those things, if we can be humble, you practice something from the habits of purified ones to become an Arahant. In this way, if you observe the Sabbath, the practices, the ethical conducts, the behaviors of the noble ones, at least 4 days for a month, what happened? You would clean your mind, you would train your mind, you would use these methods. 8 precepts are techniques, methods used by Arahants. They are habits, we use them as the techniques, we apply them to purify the minds. If you purify your mind in this sense, having applied, having used or utilized the behaviors of the Arahants, definitely my question is, can't you attain Arahanthood? You can attain Arahanthood because you are training yourself to be an Arahant. That's the way. That's the importance of observances of precepts. But for 24 years as a monk, I have experiences. Certain types of people criticize observances of precepts. Practice of generosity. That is also a noble quality from the monks. That means the Arahants. An Arahant can be ordained or non-ordained. King Suddhodana was an Arahant. Daruchirya was an Arahant, but he was a layman. There is a natural situation. If a layman attained Arahanthood as a layman, if the person didn't get ordained within 7 days, he has to attain Parinibbana physically. If the When you become an Arahant, if you try to be a monk or nun, you will enjoy the maximum life as an Arahant. But however, after the attainment of Arahant, through the practices like this, definitely you would not have a rebirth. No rebirth means you don't have any circle of life again. You don't have death, suffering, old age, anything you would not have. Because of that, you wouldn't have, because of that, this is the way to train yourself to become an Arahant. Okay. Then the Buddha says, when you practice the samadhi of noble ones, when you observe the habits of the Arahants, that would be the beneficial thing. That would be fruitful, beneficial and splendid and bountiful, meaningful. Mahapala Mahanisansa. Because you are not, first reason, if you are reborn again, you would not be reborn in a lowest place. And if you are reborn in a higher place, definitely you will have limited number of births, and this would shorten your sansaric journey. Your sansaric journey. The Buddha has given a good illustration, a good example. What is the highest happiness in this human world, in this country? Who enjoys the highest happiness? The king. In some countries, queen, or president or prime minister. That is the highest level that you can enjoy in this human life. Buddha says, in case of the heavenly comfortable conditions, human kinship is very poor in comparison to that, because what I repeated here, 50 years in the human world equals 1 day and night in Chatum Maharajika Devaloka. The world of Chatum Maharajika deities, the lowest world of heaven, they are in human world 15 years. In human world equals 1 day and night. How far? At least in our life, we haven't spent 1 day at least in case of heavenly life in comparison to. Who are above 15 years, already they have spent that time only 1 day. In case of that Devaloka, they are 1 day old. So such 30 days make up a month, then the such 12 months make up a year in that world. When we come to the second highest Devaloka, that is called Thavatimsa, heaven. In that world, in human world, 100 years equals to 1 day and night. Such 30 days make a month, such 12 months make a year. When we come to the third one, according to the hierarchy, Yamanan Devanan Loke, the world of the gods of Yama. Yama heavens, 200 years in human world equals 1 day and night there. Then such 30 days make a month, such 12 months make a year. Then we come to the fourth, 100 years in human world, 1 day and night. Such 30 days, 1 month, such 12 months make a year. Then 800 years. The fifth one equals 1 day and night in human world, Nimmanarati, heaven. Then in that heaven, such 30 days make a month, that such type of 12 months make a year. The last one, sixth one, Paranimmita Vasavatti Loka. 16 years, 1600 years, 1600 years in human world make a day and night. Such 30 days make a month, such 12 months make a year. So who is the leader of Paranimmita Vasavarti? Heaven? Definitely Mara. Mara, this is the worldly happiness, the evil one. He is the leader there. Evil one is a deity, remember. Because of his ethical conducts, he has been born there. He does not allow any humans to go beyond that. The other Devalokas, called the Brahmalokas, above that, to attain that you need to earn jhanas. If you try to earn jhanas, what happens? Definitely you will attain the Nibbana. But in case of these times, in case of the corruptions in the society, if there are no situations to associate good people, practice Buddhism, learn Buddhism, what happens? Better to be reborn there and stay there until a Buddha is born to this world. Then we can directly meet the Buddha and listen to his talks and practice them and attain the Nibbana. If not, the human society, one day it will become corrupted. Sometimes from the corrupted situations, it will become it can be turned into good one. Then if there is a good time to be reborn, to shorten the sansaric life, to practice the ethical conducts, you can be there. That means if you want to be an Arahant, first thing is you have to maintain not to create any opportunity to be reborn in a lowest place, below the human worlds. That's all. Any question? In conclusion, you will see, creating a happy and blessed state of the mind. That is very important. Then closing the doors for the evil thoughts we practice. Arising of the new defilements becomes weaker, and they discard the continuum of existing defilements through these practices and grab the new wholesome thoughts. Grab the new wholesome thoughts to arrive your destination, and suffer to continue existing wholesome thoughts. In 4 postures, you stay blessed with happy moods. After the bodily breakup, that means the death, a birth in a higher state, then you will shorten the reoccurrence of the birth, and you may create a foreground or a state to be an Arahant. Because of these advantages, when you look at these, you can't think any birth below the human worlds. So, at least you will protect your spirituality to be reborn as a human being. Then, easily you can practice the eradications of the defilements to be an Arahant. Now we come to questions and answers. If you have anything, let us answer.
Thank you, Bhante. My name is Francis. Thank you very much for the good Dharma talk. I certainly learned a lot about Arahantship. But there is one question I wanted to ask is, just now what you actually show us is how to achieve Arahantship. What if, how do we then identify someone is a Arahant? I mean, sometimes when we see someone glow the face, we say, hey, maybe he's a Arahant, that kind of thing. So how do we actually identify and know, hey, that is a Arahant?
To recognize an Arahant.
Recognize, yes, that's right. Thanks.
The most important thing, if you get into a car, do you want to recognize who is the driver? Get into a bus, ship or plane, do you want to recognize the pilot, captain? But if there is a place to train how to maintain a flight or ship or how to drive a car, what is the option? Do you meet a pilot or captain or driver, or rather than that, do you attend the classes in a college or training place and get the training to be a driver? Why do you want to recognize the Arahants physically? Arahants cannot be identified physically. They don't proclaim in front of you, I am an Arahant. They end up the sansaric journey.
In the present time, is it possible to have Arahants?
Possible.
Oh, possible, is
One
it?
word answer, possible, but they
Few.
have ended up their sansaric life. They have enjoyed the maximum fruits of practice. So they don't want to tell that I am Arahant, something like that.
They won't tell.
Because the Buddha has introduced a way of becoming an Arahant. And we know the path. We have a possibility to practice. As you have the possibility to cook at home, do you invite for a chef? No, because you know how to cook. In that way, as we are aware of the path, actually no need to see physical Arahants, and also they also don't come to tell us that we are Arahants. Possible, maybe in Thailand, maybe anywhere, even in Sri Lanka. I knew some, not Arahants, but they had some higher spiritual achievements. Recently, one of the Reverend passed away 2 years ago. That was the first Dhamma talk in a funeral that I observed in my entire life as a monk. Normally, after the death of the monks, we repeat their degrees, certificates, diplomas, postgraduate degrees, and how they have built the country, temples, how many buildings they created, built, how they are rich, how they have contributed in money, something like that we talk. But in that funeral ceremony, his chief disciple talked about his way of practicing the Buddha from childhood, how he came to the temple, at the temple how he practiced meditation, how their parents practiced, how he was ordained, after the ordination how he attained some higher jhanas, and how he treated his teacher. And in that way all the details, actually he was wishing to be a Buddha in the future. In that talk his chief disciple told us told the people in 800 births after he would be a Buddha. He will become a Buddha. Because when he was in the sick bed, the doctors treated him, but doctors say the medication, his body doesn't absorb the medication, but little sickness. He can recover, but cannot recover. Medication doesn't go into the body doesn't absorb. The reality, there was a monk, his disciple, he came to visit him, and he has told, he got the what we call the divine eye to see next birth. Doctors can treat them, but he can recover, but it doesn't happen, because when he was from many divine worlds, the divine beings having come, they have invited him to come to their divine worlds. He has accepted. So then he told his disciple, attendant monk who was with him, now this life is enough for me. And he invited monks to recite the Paritta chanting, and when they are reciting, he peacefully, consciously passed away. The miracle is, his teacher also did the same thing. He knew that he was going to pass away. He called all the disciples to come to the temple, and he informed, at this time, on this day I will pass away. Please protect the peace and unity among the monks. That was his last word. After that day, on the following day, on the right time, that he told, he passed away. There are some monks, there are some arahants. They didn't say, I had these jhanas, you should respect us. But they were humble. They lived in this human world as the normal people, but they are not normal internally. That would happen. Yes, your next question.
Thank you. No, I think, okay. Just now you were talking about the four lunar months. Then why do we only celebrate two upasaka in a month? New moon and full moon.
2 lunar phases, 4 lunar phases is the way that historically Indian religious leaders counted as the Uposatha day. So every day they cannot separate for fully practices throughout the day. So they count 4 days according to the increase and decrease of the light of the sun. Moon.
So we end up two days in a month.
So we also follow that. Buddha also recommended that, as it is a good way of practice. At least once a week you practice something good, fully. The 2 and 3 practices, Gopalaka Uposatha, Nigantu Uposatha and Arya Uposatha. Arya Uposatha is the recommended correct path of attainment of Arahanthood and observances by the Buddha. This Arya Uposatha consists of 6 types. That is what Brahmoposatha, Dhammoposatha, Sangoposatha, Siloposatha, Devatoposatha and Aryoposatha. Behaviors like Arahants. Then the other one, Gopalakoposatha, means the Buddha illustrated the behaviors of guardians of the cows, cowherds. So some people can observe like that without an understanding. Then when we come to the Nigantoposatha or Jainas, that is their practice in that religion. That means we should not practice such type of sabbath because that is not useful, but because of lack of understanding or lack of interest in, some Buddhists also can practice precepts like that. If you practice like that, that would not be beneficial. That's why the types of the observances have been introduced and we discussed. Is it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? You can say Mike.
Yes, Bhante, hello, good evening. Thank you for the talk. I have one question. You said just now, Aryu Posata.
Yep.
There were 8 practices practiced by the Arahant, but in the slide there was only 5. So
Where?
in the Aryu Posata there was only 5 observances.
No.
Was there 8?
This is, you are talking about these 6.
The last one, under the Aryu Posata. Yes. Before this, starting before.
5, 6,
Only 5.
7, 8.
Oh, I see.
Just we have the puja book, chanting book in green, in brown color. In the temple, there we have mentioned the 8 precepts. If you want to read the precept in Pali and want to know the English terms, you can use that book.
I must have missed it. But can you go one slide before this? Is it 5, 6? Okay. So it's listed all as 8. I must have missed the slide.
If you need
Thank
this slide, I can pass, no problem.
No. I must have missed the slide just now. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Any questions so far?
Bhante, were there any, not Arahants, any devas or deities that attain Nibbana?
Of course.
They are.
Even in Brahma worlds also, right now also there are Arahants. Not only the Arahants who met our Buddha. Previously, Buddhas also were, from those Buddhas having listened to their Dhamma, who attained, who were born in those worlds, then after that their rebirth in those worlds, they have attained Arahantship. Because in comparison to this time of aging, lifetime, when we go beyond, above the Devalokas also, we cannot count. Maybe even our archaeologists also cannot find anything what happened in human world in a day of Brahma world. There are Arahants. Brahma worlds also, up to Brahma worlds there are. In case of, there are 33 planets. From the lowest place, then the middle center is human world. Human world is the central point that the beings are sent to higher places, so lower places. Then the highest one, we can earn the formless jhanas. Indian people during that time, spiritually higher people, they could find highest jhanas, but beyond that they couldn't go. The Buddha is the person who found beyond that, because the highest jhanas can disappear at any time. After that again they can be reborn in any world. They have a rebirth, but they, even though they could attain the jhanas, there were no way of that we call the stopping the rebirth. What the Buddha did is, he found the way of stopping the rebirth. That is the attainment of Arahanthood. That is a big topic, another topic that we have to discuss with reference to different discourses.
Thank you.
Bhante, can I have one last question? You said to reach the realm above the Deva realm, one have to attain jhanas.
Sorry?
To reach the realm, that is the plane that is above the to attain, be reborn in the realm of above the Devas. one has to attain the jhanas.
What jhanas course?
No, to be reborn in the plane
The Brahma
above
world.
the
He's
Brahma
talking about
world.
being born in Brahma world.
Brahma world.
You need to attain certain jhanas.
Of course, if you don't have a practice of attainment of jhanas, we cannot go to Brahma world.
But another way would not be to practice the Brahma Vihara. Also, we can reach to that
Brahma
realm.
Vihara is some qualities of the Brahma Devas, beings in the Brahma world. If we practice Brahma Vihara, that means the four divine abodes, we are practicing a way of just like what we call a Brahma. Rather than practicing qualities like a Brahma, why can't we practice qualities like an Arahant? Because Arahant are the highest. Arahants are the highest. Why do we think of Brahmas? Because Brahmas have loving kindness, compassionate, altruistic joys and equanimity. But they are only four. But more than that, Arahant's loving kindness are higher. That is higher than the Brahma's loving kindness. That is higher than the Brahma's compassionate, altruistic joys and equanimity. Arahants are the highest. So, this is the way to attain the highest place. If you want to go to, let's say, how to find the place.
Final question related to his question. In the beginning, you were saying that as a Buddhist, our aspiration is to become an Arahant.
Of
then
course.
only we have liberation. Okay.
Sorry?
So then,
The word you
why do
repeat?
we? Our aspiration is to be an Arahant, isn't
Yeah.
it? So that we get liberated to Nibbana. Then why do people end up as devas and all the Brahma world? How did it end up? Because to be liberated, I think you have to be in the human world.
Let me clarify. At the beginning, I said our aspiration is to become an Arahant.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be a human
now
being.
You are saying at the end, I talk about the Deva world.
No. So what I mean is that yes, we have to be in the human realm to understand suffering and dissatisfaction and all. Then only we can cultivate to purify our mind so that we go Nibbana. Okay. So now, how do these people or how end up going to the Deva world? And if you always look at the chart, the Deva world seems to be a better, like what our friend says, it's always on a higher plane. It's a very comfortable plane, everything. Then why, I can't reconcile. How did they end up in the Deva world? Why didn't they want to be in the human world?
People.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
the people desires.
Us, the practitioner, we practitioner.
Yeah.
How
Why
did
they
end up?
why they want to be in heavenly world?
Yeah, how did they end up in the heavenly world?
Without
in the first?
become an Arahant? Is that a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Why aim lower than the Arahant?
I think his point is, Bhante, he's studying to get a distinction, A, but didn't study hard enough, he got a C. The C means you go to the Deva world. A means you become an Arahant. So while trying to get to A, but you couldn't achieve it, but you ended up in C.
Why don't we start in C in the first place? How did we end up in the Deva world? It seems to be a more comfortable world.
If people think they want to be in the heavens through these practices without become an Arahant, the first thing you have to question those people, not me. Attainment of the rebirths in the heavenly worlds, if you wish to become an Arahant, sometimes when you, until you complete your 10 perfections, Understand? Until you complete 10 perfections, you cannot attain arahanthood. Understand? To become a driver, there is a certain period of training. After that, you will have a probationary period. In the same manner, we have to complete the training to become an arahant. When we are completing those practices, as a bonus result of the practices, we would be reborn in heavenly states. Because of our ethical conditions, we should not be reborn in the lowest place. Understand? Then some people, we can have a thought to reborn in the human world. Why we are going to heavenly worlds? In the human worlds, we end up the samsara. But remember, if there is no suitable environment, what happened to you? How you can practice? This Buddha's order disappear in few thousand years. Then there is no word called Buddha to hear. In such a time, if you are born, how you can practice?
In the heavenly world, in the Deva and the world, you can actually practice your paramis. Mean you can actually from the Deva world,
In
you
the
can actually come back
Deva
to the...
worlds, to certain extent we can practice. Because there are some evidences in the doctrine of the Buddha. Devas met the Buddha, listen to the Dhamma, understand, and they attain some spiritual attainments. As a result, Mahamangala Sutta, that is because of a request made by the Buddha, he preached. Sometimes, you see, our day, in comparison to time, lowest heaven have 15 years. Then when they become maybe 20 years old, 30 years old, in comparison to human world, another Buddha can be reborn. Another Buddha can attain the enlightenment. Then they can physically meet the Buddha.
So they must meet a Buddha.
They have many chances more than us to meet the Buddhas and come into good directions. But practices have to be completed in this human world. To be an Arahant, practices can be anywhere, but to be an Arahant or individual Buddha or Lord Buddha, you need to be a human being.
So means in the Deva world, they
Hopefully
they will meet the Buddha.
You can attain the Arahanthood also in the Deva world,
but they have to meet the Buddha.
To become an individual Buddha and Lord Buddha, you need to be a human being.
So can they come back to the human being without meeting a Buddha? Those
Without?
people, those devas and above, can they come back? Because they enjoy so much.
After becoming a divine being, when they, after the death, they can be reborn as a human being also.
Thank you.
Okay. Because Prince Siddhartha was a divine being previously. He was a divine being. Because of attainment of the Buddhahood, he was reborn as a human for the last time. They can come, but if you want to know, actually practice these things and go there and reborn and tell to the people. Okay. Because we cannot tell about our previous births. We don't have any experiences. We are just referring to the Dhamma. Okay, let us transfer the merits. By the power of these merits, may all of you be well and happy. May you all be free from sufferings. May all of us be able to attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. May the departed ones receive these merits. May the divine beings receive these merits. May all of them will be able to attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Akhasattha ca bhummatta devanaga mahindika පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරන් රක්칸තු ලෝක සාසනං ආකාසට්ඨා ච බුම්මට්ඨා දේවානාගා මහින්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරන් රක්칸තු දේශනං ආකාසට්ඨා ච බුම්මට්ඨා දේවානාගා මහින්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරන් රක්칸තු මං පරන්ති. Blessing for you. අභිවාදන සීලිස්ස නිච්ඡං වුද්ධාපචායිනෝ චත්තාරෝ ධම්මා වණ්ඩන්තේ ආයුවන්නෝ සුඛං බලං ආයුරාරෝග්‍ය සම්පත්තේ සග්ග සම්පත්ති මේවච අතෝ නිබ්බාන සම්පත්තේ මිනාතේ සමිජ්ජතු.